All right, welcome back into the Friday Forecast, auburnsports.com. John Samuel Shenker. I'm Justin Hokanson. What's up? How you been?
Good to see you, bud.
It's been, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Been a little off week. Much needed, I think. It's weird because you had an off week, coaching change before the off week. It just feels like I haven't talked football in forever because leading into Vanderbilt, it was a bunch of coaching change talk. Then the game. We talked about the game, obviously. But then since then, it's just been coaching stuff. It's like there's still a season going on. So we showed up to do the press conference for DJ on Monday, and it's like, that's right, there's still 2 games to play in the season because everybody's just, everybody's like moved on to the coaching search.
Right.
I mean, other than the Iron Bowl, which will be a big deal, it's like, who's the coach going to be? It's weird. So you're kind of in the middle of the season and also already just sort of done with it. All right. We'll talk about Mercer a little bit, coaching stuff a little bit. We'll get maybe some opinions on some coaching candidates. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Real quick, shout out to Game Time, sponsor of the show, gametime.co. If you're looking for tickets for the game, for college football is almost done, college basketball, great place to go look for tickets. Go check them out. Really easy to use app. They have a guarantee that the tickets are authentic, which is nice. They have panoramic views. So you can kind of see what your seat might look like. They have deals where if you pick the section and let Game Time pick the seat, there's different deals that they do just to kind of get you on there. So if you're not super picky and you just want to pick a section, you can do it that way. What else do they do? They have a 110% guarantee. So if you pick a ticket and go find somewhere else that it's cheaper, you can get money back that way. So it's a really good deal. The way they do a lot of the things. Go use the promo code ON3 and you get $20 off your first purchase. Promo code ON3. You get $20 off your first purchase. Concerts, comedy shows, all that good stuff. So go check out Game Time, and we would appreciate that. Obviously, we're here at Iron Tribe, so come check out Iron Tribe. We've already had a number of people come in and say, hey, I heard about it through Auburn Sports. They get a free week. So you got that going on. So come in and just say you saw it on the show, and you get a free week off. Ask them about youth fitness classes. Ask them about women's health and nutrition classes, things like that. It's an awesome deal. They just added a strength class here. So come ask them if you're curious sort of what Iron Tribe is. Come ask some questions because it's not just one thing. There's different types of classes you can do depending on what you're trying to go for. If you don't love a barbell, there's classes in here that are dumbbells and you don't do much barbell stuff. And then there's strength stuff they're in there doing right now is just a strength class where you're just working on back squats, building up to heavy back squats or doing heavy bench press and stuff like that. And then of course there's classes that we do like that are kind of a little bit of everything where you're doing barbell and running and doing all that stuff. So come ask some questions. I think you'd be surprised about sort of the different types of variations, they do. It's not just like the CrossFit you see on TV and like that's it. And you're like, holy crap, I'm scared of that. It's not that. All right. Let's talk about, where do you want to start? Let's talk about coaching stuff first. Okay. And kind of where that stands. It's been kind of an interesting few weeks. They've kept it pretty close to the vest. You've probably heard a lot of the candidates, whether it's John Summerall, whether it's keeping DJ Durkin, whether it's Eli Drinkwitz. Yeah. Do you know Eli Drinkwitz at all?
I do not.
Whether it's Clark Lee mentioned a little bit. I don't really think that's, I don't think that's going to happen. Kenny Dillingham's been mentioned. Alex Golish at South Florida has been mentioned. How closely have you paid attention? But of any of those candidates that you sort of heard talked about, anything stand out? Any of these candidates that you love, or what are kind of your thoughts if you had to pick? Who would you pick? What are kind of some of your thoughts?
I like the only 2 that I know that have been here are Drinkowitz and Dillingham. Mm-hmm. And I think when they were here at that point, Auburn football was in a good place. And I think they understand what Auburn is supposed to be like. Like that's their only experience here. So I think that would be a standard that they would have, which is good in my opinion. I think both of those are great. I think Dillingham's really young. Obviously, he is an Arizona guy, so that'd be hard to pull him out of Arizona State. But and Drinkwitz has done a great job at Missouri, and he would have more resources here. The talent level would probably be higher. So I like the guys that have been here. They understand it. They know the culture and what to expect here. But I do love Summerall. I mean, just hearing what he said and how he's coached, and he's won everywhere. I wouldn't be mad with any of those three. Yeah, I think they are keeping it close to the vest. I would think as soon as the Iron Bowl's over, something happens.
Yeah.
As well as Durkin as well as part of it. But in my opinion, those are only four that I'm really thinking about. Yeah, Clarkley's been mentioned. Yeah, you could see a way where that would be a possibility maybe, but I would say Dillingham and Drinkwitz are my top two. And then if Summerall were to happen, I'm not mad about it. Just he hasn't coached at this stage, at this level, which could be you never really know what you're going to get. So, but I think there's still good candidates out there.
From your experience, I mean, you've been around coaches. Is there anything that you can pinpoint? Like, could you be around a coach, and is there one or two things that they do or that you see that you could be like, I would bet on that guy? No, there's no guarantees, but like, I don't know. I feel like in this day and age, it's hard to pick the right. We've seen hires that everybody's like, great hire, and then they don't turn out at all.
I would say the well-coached teams, like the coaches that no matter what caliber of athlete the team has, if they are well-coached, I think that's even through every coaching position you could have. Mm-hmm. Like just for instance, Clarkley, every game they play, they look well-coached.
Yeah.
I think when you see a well-coached team, I think that travels everywhere you go. Because that also comes from the culture that you have, that they trust in what you are telling them to do, and they're hyper-disciplined in everything that they do. But I think the culture you create, I think every coach, wherever they go, they take that with them. So you see, like with the Saban tree, all those coaches that go places and they're successful, well, they take the culture, they take the discipline, they take all those good things with them. And I think the culture, it creates the discipline with the players, and it creates a standard. And that travels everywhere. So I think if you just look at the culture they've created where they are, because they're going to bring those guys with them, I think that's a big piece to look at on how players play for them, how they play with each other. That's a big piece I would look at.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. But yeah, I mean, I think, well, you can start by, if you wanted to start by looking at what we just had.
Right.
You could go, what do you not want?
Right.
Which well coached would fall into that category of the offense was not well coached.
Correct.
And there wasn't an attention to detail, and there wasn't accountability.
Right.
So that's probably a good place to start, is somebody that's just hyper focused on the details, and coaching football really well. Because a lot of the stuff on the outside, man, you're going to have, like, I feel like Auburn's in a good place. From an administration standpoint, I think there's pretty good alignment. There's a lot of commitment to resources in NIL. There's a lot of people invested and involved right now. So all of the sort of the infrastructure, I think, is there. Like, just get somebody that can. It's very similar to what A&M did last year. It's very similar to whenever they hired Mike Elko. They had Jimbo Fisher. They had all this money. Money wasn't an issue. Recruiting wasn't an issue. They just weren't getting results. And I remember the sort of the narrative around them was like, go get a football coach.
Right.
We got the infrastructure. We can recruit. Go get a dude who can coach football. And that's what Mike Elko is.
Yeah.
And he's incredibly intense. He's a tough-minded guy. I feel like Summerall feels like he'd fit that.
Right.
Like, just come in, create a culture, and coach football, and don't let the details fall through the cracks, and put forth a mentally tough football team. We'll take care of this other stuff. We'll support you out here. You create a team that's well coached and mentally tough. We'll help you get the talent. And I mean, those combined should create a pretty good program. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't know that there's like a home run for me. I've always thought that. There's not a realistic candidate that I'm like, if they get that guy, home run. I don't know that I think that. Doesn't mean that somebody like John Summerall wouldn't end up being a home run.
Right.
I just think he's had success at Troy, Tulane, obviously hasn't done on the Power 4 level, but he's had success 2 different places.
Right.
I think I think his desire to get the Auburn job is important. He wants it bad.
Yeah.
He would love it. He's from Alabama. So there's some things about it that I think would create a highly motivated, like he could be the guy for the next decade.
Right.
He could be, because he wants to be here. And he's, I think, a tough, good football coach. So there's a lot about him that makes me, optimistic if you can land him, that he could be your guy. I'm not. So I guess I'm the highest on him. I don't know about Drinkwitz. He's done a really good job at Missouri. He really has. They've won a lot of games over the last 4 or 5 years. They really have, and beaten some. They just. The whole ranked opponents thing, it's kind of like Franklin. Eli Drinkwitz doesn't have a great record against ranked opponents. But again, Franklin, I get the criticism because you're at Penn State.
Right.
There's no
No
you
excuse.
can get the talent and like that, and I get you're playing Ohio State. Like they're probably always better than Penn State. But Missouri, man, you're still not the most talented team.
Right.
In a lot of those ranked games, if you're playing Bama or Georgia or LSU or, whoever else they were. So I'd have to go back and dissect the ranked game stuff. I'll bet you a lot of those. How many of those games was he the underdog in? Right. I'd have to go back and look at some of that. And so I would understand a little bit of that criticism, but at the same time, I think he does a good job at Missouri. He's not Gus Malzahn. I'll say this, like Eli Drinkwitz, for people like this, Gus, he's not that to me. I think he's a much tougher, like he runs the football. And so I really wants to get after it running. I think he's a sort of a more physical-minded coach than even Gus was. But anyway, I'm not sure there's a home run, but I think there's some good candidates. Like I think you could win with some. I think you could probably win with Drinkwitz. Dillingham, I think you could win with Dillingham. Durkin, I think you could win with Durkin. Like I think there's the infrastructure there that you could build a program around those guys. Those are good coaches. The Durkin angle is interesting. I want to know what your thoughts are. It's kind of a weird thing where John Cohen has said he'd give DJ Durkin a shot. He loves Durkin as defensive coordinator.
Right.
He doesn't want to lose him he feels like he's got the best defensive coordinator in college football. And if you want to argue that, fine. He's one of the best.
Right.
And so for Cohen, it's like, if you're going to be the head coach, how do I know our defense is not going to fall off?
Right.
That's a big question. I'm just not sure about how you go about making Durkin the head coach. You have to know right now. You can't wait.
Right.
It makes no sense to wait and go, well, let's see how the next 2 weeks play out.
Right.
Well, that doesn't work, number one, with the timeline. Like if you do that, then you could lose out on some other candidates, first of all. And then what if he loses what if they lose the Iron Bowl and it doesn't go well and you decide you're not going to hire him? Then what are you going to do? You're trying to announce a guy.
Right.
So it's sort of the whole deal about giving Durkin a fair shot at being a head coach, which I think Cohen's doing, but I don't quite see it. I mean, I feel like you would have to know right now if Durkin is head coach material.
Right.
Whether he beats Alabama or not should not have any bearing on whether you think he should be the head coach. Right. He's taking over a program in November.
Right.
So that's a weird one to me where I don't know what to think about that. I think he's trying to Durkin certainly feels like he's got a shot at it.
Right.
I can tell you that. So he's operating like he's got a shot at this thing.
Yes, 100%.
I just the timeline's weird. What do you think about watching how the last few weeks go to try to sort of evaluate him further while also being on a clock? Like you need to if you're trying to announce somebody right after the Iron Bowl, you're basically having to hire somebody by the Mercer. By before Thanksgiving.
Right.
So I don't know how the timeline thing works out, but what are maybe some of your thoughts on trying to evaluate Durkin right now and what difference would it make? Like, what could he do in 2 weeks to say yes or no, he's the guy? What do you think?
I think that would be because there's just not enough data to be able to hire him as a head coach. I think he's a phenomenal.
So you wouldn't hire? You'd lean away?
I would. I think he's a great D coordinator, but there are some coordinators that are just great coordinators that probably would not be great head coaches. Now, if you want to keep him, it's going to be hard to keep him as D coordinator, I think, if you bring in a defensive-minded guy.
Yeah.
So that could be tough. And if you want to keep him, but you can't want to keep him enough to where you give away the head coach position to him just because you want to keep him here in some capacity. I think it's really hard to say if he wins the Iron Bowl, he gets the head coaching job. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Yeah.
That's really treading on thin ice, in my opinion, as far as getting him.
That's just a bad way to do it anyway.
Yeah,
that's what Ole Miss did a few years ago with Matt Luke. For anybody that remembers, Matt Luke got the interim, and then he finished pretty strong. He was well liked. He's a really good coach, and then they gave him the job, and it was just it felt like it was just going to end in 2 years anyway.
Right.
Now Durkin, I think, would be more equipped, but he finished strong, and they kind of felt like they had to give it to him.
I mean, but the way Durkin's handling everything, I think it's great. How he's handled everything. Obviously, the team is playing hard in the game that he's he has the team likes him, so you have that going for you. The defense loves him. They give him all the credit for all the success they've had. Xavier Atkins, Kojic Falk, Champ Anthony, they've all given Durkin the credit for what he's done. So he has the team, which is a huge positive, and especially in this era. So, and he's tough. He's physical. Obviously, he has been a head coach. It hasn't been great, but hasn't been terrible. So I think he wants to be here. I do. I think Durkin wants to be here. But I think he wants to be the head coach. And I completely understand that. It's your career. You want to be at the top. And this would be a great head coaching job. But I don't see Cohen going that way. I know he wants to keep him. I would want to keep him. But I don't see him getting hired as the head coach.
I would agree. I mean, if you ask me right now, I wouldn't bet on that. But it's everything I've heard is that it's a possibility.
Right.
So I
wouldn't be mad.
And like I said, I know that Durkin is still operating like he thinks he's got a shot. I know there's things behind the scenes and just things that he's told people where he thinks, as of right now, he's still got a shot.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, he hasn't really had extensive conversations with Cohen. It doesn't sound like he said, but they probably talk all the time when they're around. So anyway, it's an interesting dynamic. We'll see. I mean, the other thing is what even comes out. If Auburn picks a guy, they want to announce it after the Iron Bowl, but how does that not get out before then? If you're hiring a coach that's somewhere, he's got to. If it's Summerall, they play I think they're in line. I'm pretty sure I have to go back and look. I mean, they're in line to play in their championship game. I don't know if they're locked into that. I'm sorry, I don't know that, but their championship game's a week after the Iron Bowl.
Right.
If it's Summerall, I know that. I mean, I can imagine what Summerall would say. He wants to be loyal to his team. He want to coach a championship game. He want to. He would want to try to be in the playoff.
Right.
But if you're Auburn, sorry.
Right.
I mean, that sucks. But you're not playing second fiddle to Tulane. You're not going, hey man, well, go coach your championship game and your playoff. That's weeks of not being with the program, and you're Auburn. If Summerall's willing to give up, if he's like, I can't do that, you're going to give up the Auburn job so you can coach. I know that's a hard deal, but man, it's a business.
Right.
And so I think, so I don't know, when it comes to that, I don't know. I'd be shocked if you hire Summerall and then let him finish his stuff out. I know that he probably is going to feel terrible if he has to tell the kids that, but you know what? A lot of these kids are getting paid. There's NIL. Right. It's kind of more of a business now anyway. I think some big boy conversations would just have to be had. But yeah, if you're Auburn, you can't say we're going to pay you $6 million a year, but hey, finish your stuff with Tulane first.
Yeah, no.
That can't happen. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. And it sounds like, I mean, Cohen's talked about hiring a coach in the playoff, this and that, but I don't know. His goal has always been like right after the Iron Bowl to announce. I would imagine that they very much want to hire and get a guy in place. I don't think there's plans to like, if it's Summerall, to like let him roll with Tulane. Because you're talking about a week championship game, and then I don't know when the first playoff game. It's like
the 19th.
It's not the next week. So there's like 2 weeks. So you're talking about at least 3 weeks or so where he's doing 2 jobs.
And you have signing day.
You just can't. You can't. Either you just can't. You just can't. If you're Auburn, you say, listen, this is Auburn. We're paying you X amount.
Right.
This is your job. You have to make a big, hard, tough decision and make the move.
I agree. And you can't, especially with the portal and everything, like as soon as the portal opens in December, if you don't have a head coach, next year will be very difficult because you still have high school signing days in December. I think it's like the week after the championship game.
Yeah.
So you have all these things that take place in December. And yes, it's not ideal for any coach really, even if you're in the playoffs. But yeah, like it's the way of the world now. Like if you want to get a coach, it has to be the week after the Iron Bowl or days after the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
That's how it has to be now. And yeah, it's hard. Like if your team's pushing for a playoff spot or a conference title, yeah, that's hard, but do you want the job or not?
Yep.
Like if players can leave like this and coaches can leave as well. So it's their dreams too to be head coaches in the best conference. So but I agree. I think you have to do it sooner rather than later. You lose recruits. I think Virginia Tech, they've already gotten James. I think that's a good idea. You can go ahead and start that process.
They're in a great spot.
Right. Like, and I understand we're not in that spot, so to speak, but yeah, I think the earlier the better, just to give yourself a chance for next year.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays out. I know there's a lot of people that think Summerall's like already locked up, or I don't have any reason to believe that.
Right.
I've just, what I've heard and sort of understood, I have no reason to believe anyone is locked up right now. I don't. I mean, I know Cohen's still talking to candidates, and maybe some of that's just in case. But
Right.
if you got him locked up, you really don't need to have backup conversations right now. I also don't. The one thing I don't completely know is where's Cohen at in terms of telling head coaches you're keeping Durkin. Right. I know he very much wants Durkin to stay. I know he's told Summerall like, we really would like to keep DJ Durkin, not just because he's good, but because he has a great relationship with a bunch of the dudes on the roster.
Right.
And I know Cohen's stance is win now. Cohen is not like, hey, come in. If we lose some players, that's fine. We'll have to rebuild the roster for a year. No. Cohen's like, we're set to win. We have a roster to win. Let's keep as many as we can. Could you lose a few guys? Yes, you could. But we're not – this isn't like a come in and give you a couple years. That's not where they're at. The infrastructure's there. The talent's pretty good. Even if you lost a few guys, the talent's not in a bad spot. Like so he's ready to win. And the Auburn fans are ready to win. So I know that keeping Durkin is really important. I don't know that he's told the candidates like, you have to keep Durkin. I think that's a tough spot to put a coach in. You have to do it. And so I think it could depend. So what I'm curious about is Summerall, for instance. I haven't heard any guarantees from Summerall like, I will for sure keep DJ Durkin. I think he's like, I will strongly consider it. But he hasn't guaranteed it. What if there's a candidate that Cohen likes as it's like, I 100% will keep DJ Durkin.
Right. It's that big.
I don't know the answer to that question. Is Summerall, if you had Summerall and whatever, pick a guy, Drinkwitz, Golish, that those two dudes were like, I'll keep Durkin, 100% I'll keep Durkin. And Summerall's like, I will give it a hard look, and I like the idea, I just don't want to make a promise. And you're going, and if you're Cohen, you're going, right. Do I love Summerall so much more than one of these other two guys that I'm willing to chance he doesn't keep Durkin, which would not just defensive guys. There's offensive guys on the roster that like DJ too. Yeah. Like Durkin leaves, man. It could. You'd have to go hit a home run with an OC, but you're losing some real talent if he leaves. And so anyway, I don't know the answer to that question. And is if Cohen is sitting here going, if at the end of the day he goes, we lose Durkin. I want to keep Durkin and I want to keep this roster, and I don't think there's a big enough gap between Summerall and so. And so anyway, I think I would probably still – Summerall's still like the betting favorite to me. But I don't think anything's done or locked up. So we'll kind of wait and see. We'll wait and see how it goes. I guess maybe get through Mercer and then see if they what they do. But yeah, Virginia Tech got their guy. You got the Lane Kiffin saga at Ole Miss, which affects Auburn, because if Lane decides he's going to leave, Ole Miss will be very, very interested in John Summerall.
Right.
Summerall's not going to Florida. But then the other thing is, look, Florida's going to be interested in Drinkwitz. So if you're still toying with Drinkwitz, Florida's interested in him. LSU would be interested in Drinkwitz, but right now they're all in on Lane. It's probably the only overlap is probably Drinkwitz and Summerall in terms of Florida. And maybe, if LSU lost on Lane, I don't know who Lane – I don't know where LSU's second choice is. But, Drink could be high up for both Florida and LSU. Right. If you're Cohen over here sitting here even still considering Drinkwitz, he could pop up. But other than that, we'll wait and see. All right, let's talk about Mercer a little bit. Really good team. Everybody, I've heard a lot about like, hey, Mercer's a good team. Like, da-da-da-da. I get it, okay? Really good FCS team, really good quarterback. But if we're having serious conversations about watch out, I don't know what we're talking about.
Right.
I get it that they're a good FCS team. But if you're a top 12 roster, which you hear John Cohen says, hey, coaches are telling me that this is a top 10, top 12 roster in the country. Then this shouldn't be a game. Obviously, all the intrigue is around Jackson, Arnold, and Deuce Knight. Who start? They're both going to play. So maybe it doesn't even matter who starts because Durkin's already said they're both going to play. I'm more curious probably on, are they splitting reps?
Right.
Or is it like you start, you get a series, and then we'll see how it goes? Or is it like, no, we're going to even it out, and you're going to get 5-6 series, and you're going to get 5-6 series. We feel like we can do that and win. What are kind of your thoughts on the quarterback situation? What do you want to see? Like just the situation in general. By the way, I'm about to get my battery so this doesn't die. But what are your thoughts on quarterback?
Yeah, I think the quarterback situation, I understand it with Daniels. I get it, protecting the player more than the team in this situation, trying to get him to be eligible again. So I get that. I'm not a fan of rotating quarterbacks. I understand what they're doing, but I think I would throw Arnold out there, give him a couple drives. If he's doing well, just leave him. If he's not, throw Deuce in there. There's a reason Deuce hasn't played all year. That's just probably because he's not completely ready, right?
Yeah.
Like that's okay. He's a freshman. He's talented, but he's a freshman. So I would throw Jackson first, and
I think they're going to start Deuce. If I had to guess, based on what we saw Tuesday,
it's just like that worries me in a game like this. Like you're probably looking towards the Iron Bowl. Yes, Mercer's good. Yes, we should handle him easily, but that's when you get into like more of just lackadaisical. Oh, let's just throw the freshman out there and see what happens. And then you come in at halftime and it's a one-score game, and you're like, oh crap. And then so that's just worst case scenario in my opinion.
Yeah.
To where you mess around too much, you could be in a world of trouble. Say Deuce goes out there and fumbles a snap or just something that a young player would do, and then you're sitting there and you're like, okay, we actually have to play, and it's second half, and you don't have much time left. So I would you secure the win first, and then allow your young guy to play. But if Arnold's not playing well, sure, put him in. But they obviously trust Deuce enough to do that. So I'm real hesitant about doing that early.
Well, if you from a game plan perspective, from an execution, if they can mirror what they did against Vanderbilt, then I feel pretty good about either guy, especially Jackson, because he's played Deuce. If they stick to the game plan, get your ball to the playmakers, then I think Deuce will end up being fine. I don't know. I guess I could go either way on who to start. I could understand tossing Deuce out there right off the bat and going, right away, let's just see if he's ready. Because if he's not, if he has a bad first series or two, know immediately that where things then you toss Jackson in, and then you can go from there. Versus start Jackson, say he does fine, then you throw Deuce in there and he doesn't play well,
right?
And you lose momentum. I could understand maybe, hey, let's just find out immediately where Deuce is at.
Yeah.
And then go from there. But I could also understand the argument of if you start Deuce and he's just, he's a freshman and he has a couple of whatever, then you also just start poorly.
Right.
But, he could go out there and you could score early and everything could be great. I'd have to think it's a pretty good amount of running the football, keep things fairly simple. But with these two guys, I mean, you're gonna run your stuff. You're gonna let them throw and run your offense. I would think this is the kind of game where you throw everything out there and you try to get up and you don't let this thing hang around at all.
Right.
I mean, you attack. Yeah. You attack, go tempo,
yes,
and you get after it. You try to get up in this game. What's the spread? 27.5.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's only 20. I mean, I get that Mercer's a good FCS team, but don't you think Auburn should, 51.5?
Yeah, they're not giving Auburn much on that.
So that's, what do we, 40-10 puts you about, you cover that way and you're at 50. So, 40-13, I guess is what they're thinking. I guess that's fair. But if Auburn plays with some execution and tempo like they did at Vanderbilt,
oh yeah,
they could score more than 40. So it'd be an interesting game on the quarterback front because there's all kinds of storylines about what they're going to do after the year. Like, what are these auditions for
right.
Deuce and Jackson for Jackson to put some more good stuff on film, for Deuce to put some good stuff on film if they enter the portal? I'd imagine Jackson enters the portal.
Yeah.
Deuce is kind of the one where we're thinking we don't know what he's going to do. Good decision on redshirting Ashton. I think everybody's in agreement with that.
Yeah.
Durkin said Ashton was awesome. His family was great about it. His plan was always to come back, so the coaching changes probably threw that up in the air a little bit, but good decision for him and good for it. Kind of worked out. I think it was the right decision. Durkin kind of said, listen, I have to think about the team, but I also I have to think about him. And they made the decision to work with him there and do that. It's kind of interesting. Like, can you compare that situation to Damari, where Damari's like, well, I would also like to redshirt.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, you're not allowed. We need you. and then Ashton's like, would you like to? Yes, let's for sure redshirt you so you can come back. You're letting one kid redshirt.
But it's a game, not the season.
It's one game. It's Mercer. It's a weird situation. You kind of threw Ashton. You were planning on redshirting Ashton, and then things changed, and you threw him out there. And it would. We talked about this like 2 weeks ago. It would suck to have cost Ashton his last year by playing him in 5 games.
Right.
That would have been really crappy.
Well, what happens if you make a bowl game? And
he can play in that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he can play in the bowl game. So if they upset Alabama, Ashton's good to play in a bowl game.
Yeah.
Which would be another couple weeks of practice, and which I don't even want to think about what a bowl game would look like, because who's the coach?
Right.
Who's the roster? What's your staff look like? I don't even the bowl. That's a whole nother argument. The bowl game, because what are the advantages of playing in a bowl game? Like, other than young players maybe getting a couple of extra weeks of practice in a game, that can be beneficial. But past that, like, if you're anybody on staff, if you're the new coach, if you're the GM trying to figure out roster, and I feel like I would just want to be diving into the roster. If you have a new coach, you're trying to build a staff, I would think you just want to do that.
Yeah.
But there's players that would want to play the bowl game and all that, but the bowl game that feels like a complication to, I don't know. But there's value, maybe an extra reps for Ashton and stuff like that. But I feel like there'd be some people like, if we could just go focus on building the staff and retaining the roster, and they don't have to also worry about playing in a bowl game that's pretty much meaningless, other than getting some young guys some reps. I don't know. So that'll be, I don't know. We'll cross that bridge. But if they beat Alabama, there'll be some guys excited. I think the biggest benefit would be Ashton. The biggest benefit would be he gets another few weeks of practice. He gets to play a bowl game. That much more reps, that much more experience. That'd probably be some of the benefits there. What do you think? 27.
Yeah, I think
over under 51.5.
I think we cover.
You think you cover?
Yeah, I think I like to think we cover. I just please don't come out flat and wishy-washy with the quarterback.
Yeah.
And, like, if I don't agree with alternating series, I think give them a couple.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't get rhythm in one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you go with Deuce, I think you have to give them a couple. You can't just give them one and be like, all right, 3 and out. All right, you're done. Like, you have to give them a little bit more than that. So, but I do. I think we cover at the end of the day. I think the defense always shows up, so I think they do. I think they'll show up, and I think they'll shut down Mercer. Maybe have a couple turnovers, pick six maybe, fumble recovery. And I think Auburn – I think Durkin, just his mentality, like I think they come in, play well, and then we move on to the Iron Bowl.
I was trying to look up something real quick. And I should have done this already. Yeah, you look at Mercer's quarterback leads FCS in passing, 3,200 yards. And then there's also, I was trying to find this website would scroll. They are against these are FCS teams. I can't find it. I should have known. That's my bad for not being good at my job. They have an edge player that's legit. They have an edge player that I can't remember his stats, but they have an edge player that's like, I mean, feels like the kind of guy who's going to enter the portal and be playing big time football. So that so he like there's that dude's legit, quarterback's legit, but again, if you can't handle that at Auburn, like if we're having a serious conversation about, I don't know, Mercer's pretty good. Then I mean, you just went on the road and could have beat Vanderbilt, top 20 team. We know how close Auburn's been in a bunch of these games. And so if this is a game where you're seriously talking about, there he is. What's Zach say? Yeah. Andrew Zock, 39 tackles, 18.5 tackles for loss, 11.5 sacks, 22 quarterback hurries. Yeah. So dude's going to get after it. Good player. I mean, that's the kind of guy that's gonna bump up and be playing. I mean, maybe Power 4 football. I mean, I would think it's the kind of caliber player he is. So it's definitely a game. Look, it's definitely a game where if you're Auburn, you got to come out sharp. You've had a week off. Right. You got the Iron Bowl. No excuse. No excuse to not come out here and be excited to play football. Come out and put a really good showing on and use it as a tune-up and have just a ton of confidence going into the Iron Bowl. This is not the game where you come out flat, week off, whatever, and just sort of shuffle through it and then try to regain your confidence going into the Iron Bowl. Come out, take care of business, and win. I would probably say I need to send my picks in for this game. 27.5. I mean, I'd like to think they cover, but the quarterback situation is just right. That's the only thing that's in flux. Like Jackson hasn't played in a couple weeks. Deuce hasn't played since a little bit in the Ball State game. So are they sharp? Are they good? Does it matter? Does Auburn just run the football and you just do some simple RPO stuff to Singleton and Cam and Malcolm? You get some big plays. That's kind of how I think it'll go. So I'd probably go Auburn. Gosh, you'd like to think Auburn gets to 45. Right. I mean, they just scored 38. If this is the new offense, if this tempo, if they're executing, if they keep the tempo up, and they can play pretty clean football, and it's so funny now we're sitting here talking about Auburn's offense like, well, I mean, like they had one great game, and so I think it is fair to say like, is that them or not? Right. I don't know. Like do it again and do it again. But I think the tempo helped. So, like, if they sort of approach the game in the same way and keep the tempo, I think that was really big. That's the biggest thing with the tempo stuff. Like, that's such a big part of what Hugh likes to do. Taking that away always felt like you're just taking away one of your advantages. Like, sometimes the simplicity of what you do combined with the tempo is what made it crazy hard. Take away the tempo, and now it's just simple stuff. So, anyway. Yeah, I'd like to think this is a game where Auburn can come out, run the football, create some big plays, get to 45, and then you're talking about how many, what do you give up? Right. Now, Auburn's been susceptible through the air. I mean, no doubt. I'd still like to think Auburn holds them to 17 or less. Right. So it's possible. I think that 27 is probably a good number. So let's say something like 45-17, Auburn. Yeah. Is that fair? 42-17? I think it's fair. Maybe a late second half touchdown by Mercer or something like that. Yeah. Gets them to 17. Yeah, and I'd love to see Deuce and Jackson just play well, get a little confidence. Another game with Mason Murphy at center.
Look good.
Yeah, things like that. Get some confidence and then head into the Iron Bowl with some confidence. All right, let's get out of here. AuburnSports.com. Go subscribe $1 right now for the first week at AuburnSports.com. And you should have already been a subscriber, but now, we're getting towards the end of this coaching search. You got to be over there. Basketball's going on next week. Thanksgiving, basketball plays Michigan and Oregon in Las Vegas, and then we'll see who that third opponent is. So big week for basketball next week as well. And then all the coaching search stuff. We'll see how that goes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on notifications. Go to AuburnSports.com. Subscribe for $1, and we appreciate you. We'll see you next time.
See ya.